He was born on a humid February day in 1860, in the hinterlands of Ambos Camarines, a land of coconut groves, narrow dusty roads, modest houses, and a people slowly awakening to new ideas. Born to Don Agustin Lukbán and Dona Andrea Riles, young Vicente grew up in a time heavy with colonial structures, a world steeped in Spanish rule, friars, and an increasingly restless undercurrent of change. Early years education and awakening from the Escuela Pia. In his hometown, Vicente's thirst for knowledge led him to Manila, to the Augustales of Ateneo Municipal de Manila, and Lata to Colegio de San Juan de Latran, and University of Santo Tomas. Institutions that shaped minds and perhaps forged silent questions in his heart about justice, dignity, and freedom. Upon returning to his home province, he assumed roles of responsibility as a juez de paz justice of the peace, or municipal delegate, helping resolve disputes among ordinary folk, earning their respect. But Vicente was not content with mere law books and courtrooms. He saw the poverty of small farmers, the exploitation by middlemen, the despair in eyes of laboring farmers. Motivated by compassion and perhaps a deeper stir of justice, he resigned from his official post in 1886. In Bicol, he founded La Cooperativa Popular, an agricultural and commercial cooperative intended to let small and medium producers pool their harvests and negotiate beyond middlemen, giving them better returns. On the surface, it was a grassroots economic venture, but at its heart, it carried seeds of revolution. Profits from this cooperative quietly helped fund freedom-fighting efforts. The cooperative also served as a discreet channel to spread ideas of reform, justice, and national dignity, ideas the colonial government would never suspect were sown in humble rice fields and coconut groves. He also became part of a circle of freethinkers, joining Masonic lodges like Luz del Orient, a network that helped propagate modern, liberal ideas. Under colonial oppression, arrest, imprisonment, and the turning point. But to the Spanish authorities, a cooperative plus liberal ideals plus a respected young lawyer was too dangerous a combination. In 1896, Vicente was arrested. He was thrown into a prison cell, tortured in darkness, drenched by floodwaters, enough to leave him with a permanent limp. Yet, under torture, he refused to betray his fellow patriots. On May 17, 1897, he was among those pardoned, or perhaps, more precisely, released under the general amnesty of that time. But instead of returning to the comfort of a legal office, Vicente threw away the pardon, ripped the document, as though rejecting the very legitimacy of Spanish authority. That act marked the beginning of something greater. He committed himself to the cause of freedom, joining the forces of Emilio Aguinaldo, and was entrusted with critical responsibilities. Constructing fortifications, gathering provisions, and becoming a key aid in the struggle against Spain. When the Pacta Temporary Peace, Pacta Biakna Bato, forced Filipino revolutionaries into exile, he went to Hong Kong, alongside Aguinaldo and other leaders, carrying with him not just rifles and hopes, but the resolve to return. Between December 29, 1897 and July 3, 1898, that exile forged determination as they strategized, planned, and awaited the moment to bring the revolution back home. Return, reorganization, a new mission. The Bicol provinces when 1898 came. The revolution Lukbán, now a colonel in the Revolutionary Army, was dispatched to Camarines and forming an expeditionary force. He organized militias, accepted arms and resources, and began restoring civil and military administration among liberated towns. On October 29, 1898, he was appointed military commander of Camarines, with headquarters in Nueva Ca. He devoted himself to organizing local defense, maintaining order, and preparing people for the uncertain future. By December 21, 1898, his leadership and skill were recognized. He was promoted to General of Division. His new battlegrounds, the islands of Samar and Lati, the Visayas Command. Samar and Lati. A new front. A fiercer fight at the turn of the year. Upon reaching Catbalogan in Samar, On December 31st, 1898, Vicente was welcomed by locals who pledged their loyalty. For them, he was not just a commander, perhaps a savior, or a symbol of hope. On January 2nd, 1899, he assumed command of Lati. But only a few months later, April 27th, he was designated politico-military governor of Samar. From then until early 1902, Samar and Lati would be under his watch. His sword, his strategies, his will. He understood the terrain. He recognized the faith, resilience, and hearts of the people. Knowing that conventional warfare was suicidal against a well-armed colonizer, he turned to a strategy that would define his name in history: guerrilla warfare. In the mountains of Catbalogan, he established arsenals. He trained local militia. He organized the provinces and sectors, with trusted commanders at each front. The provinces were divided, each commanded by officers like Cal Narciso Abu, Colombia Claro Guevara, Capte, Eugenio Daza, all under his overarching leadership. He appealed to unity. His first printed proclamation to the people of Samar and Lati, dated early 1899, was a plea for solidarity, for the common goal of freedom, dignity, and justice. Con poblanos, samarenos, y leitenos. It read, urging them to stand as one people against foreign oppression. The specter of war, confrontation with the Americans, the arrival of American forces, was inevitable. The newborn Filipino Republic found itself not just battling old colonizers, but new ones. In Samar and Lati, under Lukbán's leadership, the fight became grim, resolute, and unrelenting. Historians often credit him, or at least regard him as a strong influence, as the strategist behind what would become known as the Battle of Balangiga, a surprise uprising on September 28, 1901, in which dozens of American soldiers belonging to Company C 9th U.S. Infantry were killed, though there is no definitive documentary proof that he personally issued orders that day. Many researchers believe he knew of the plan, and likely encouraged it. Following the Balangiga attack, the American response was merciless. Under orders from the American leadership, retaliatory campaigns brought terror, destruction, and heartbreak across Samar. Entire villages were burned. Civilians were hunted, farms destroyed. Hunger and fear spread. For Lukbán, this was not just a war of arms. It was a war for the soul of his people. Yet, he did not waver. The Americans offered amnesty if he would surrender. Many of his contemporaries accepted, but Lukbán famously rejected the offer. For him, surrender would be dishonor. For him, freedom even attained through blood, sweat, death, was worth the risk. Capture, exile, political life. A warrior without war, but with duty the struggle dragged on. On August 18, 1901, one detachment under Captain H.L. Jackson discovered his headquarters along the Caterman River. In the ensuing firefight, Vicente was wounded, but escaped. His wife and some officers were captured. But guerrilla war cannot always escape fate. On February 19, 1902, by then cornered by American forces, he was captured by LT transported to Manila. He was imprisoned on an island in Laguna de Bay. He remained there until July 15, 1902, when he took an oath of loyalty to the United States and was released. Yet Lukbán's story did not end with chains or blood. After release, he turned his mind, not to bitterness, but to constructive service. He embraced politics and public service. In 1912, he was elected governor of Tajabas Province, now known as Quezon Province. In that role, he sought to rebuild, to govern, to reimagine what a free Philippines could be, not just in war-torn Samar, but in the peaceful towns of Tajabas. He was re-elected in 1916, but fate intervened. Illness struck. On November 16, 1916, he passed away in Manila. He never again walked the mountains of Samar, nor led troops into battle. But his dream of dignity, freedom, justice remained alive in the hearts of those he inspired. Legacy, more than memories, monuments, names. Ecos' name lives on in various ways. A military base Camp Lukbán, in Catbalogan, Samar, stands as a testament to his leadership and sacrifice. A street in Manila's Tondo Gagalangan bears his name. reminding city dwellers of a man from the provinces who once led an army. A species of lizard found in the Philippines carries his name, Brachymeles lukbani, a simple species, yet immortal. Silent, named after a man who fought, spoke, suffered, and believed. But beyond monuments, beyond names, lies the intangible, the spirit of resistance, the belief that even in oppression, even under fire, valor, strategy, and love for country can shine. He remains, for many, a fading hero, perhaps overshadowed by louder names, more popularly remembered heroes. Yet for those who know Samar, Bicol, the mountains and fields he once traversed, his memory endures. Reflections. The man, the myth, the meaning what drove Vicente. Lukbán, a thirst for justice, a love for the oppressed, a deep sense of duty. Perhaps all of the above. He was not a mere romantic rebel. He was a lawyer, well-educated, strategic, pragmatic, but also compassionate and visionary. He believed in empowering the small, farmers, cooperatives, communities. He believed in organization, structure, in defining order amid chaos. He understood that freedom was not just about rifles and bullets, but about social and economic dignity. And when war came, not once, but twice, under different flags, he did not flinch. He fought, he led, he persevered. When the guns fell silent, he did not retreat into obscurity. He entered politics, governed. He sought to build, to heal wounds, to rebuild towns, to nurture peace. His final years were not spent on the battlefield, but in public service, in rebuilding, in hope. Why we remember him, and why we should not let him fade. In a modern Philippines often distracted by many battles between politics and power, money and graft, identity and global pressures, the story of Vicente Lukbán offers grounding. It reminds us that history is not only made by towering figures with national fame, but by humble men, lawyers, farmers, cooperators, community leaders who dared to believe in something greater. Lukbán's life transcends heroism. It embodies integrity. It exemplifies sacrifice. It questions the cost of complacency. And it dares us today to ask, what will we fight for? What will we build? When oppression comes in subtle forms, not colonial armies, but inequality, apathy, corruption, will we stand? Will we resist? Will we build cooperatives, nurture communities, protect dignity? His body may have turned to dust in 1916, but his spirit, the spirit of Lukbán, walks still in towns under coconut trees, in the mountains of Samar, in hearts yearning for justice. If you listen closely, at dusk, in the rustle of leaves, you might still hear the soft footfall of his boots, determined, unyielding, proud.